doesn't it look a bit strange that a person who's been running for president since 1980, he's now running against somebody he found in diapers in 1986, a musician of a different generation? Is that because he has overstayed?
The problem with the political leadership, it deludes you.
I think he's trying to say Museveni is delusional, deluded. It deludes you. Okay, keep going.
You are still the youth of old.
You remain in your bubble.
Yes, and this...
That is directly talking to Museveni. Museveni is delusional. He believes that he's still the youth of his old.
Young people, it's me, I'm surprised. One time I was in Mombasa and then I asked people say, hey, I'm happy. He said, hey, even people in Mombasa know that I'm no longer youth. Oh, first of all, this young man, I don't know him.
Your neighbor Robert Chagulani?
No, I mean, as a person.
Okay.
But if you see he's a boy from the ghetto, you know, if, assuming it's true, if you grew up in the ghetto, you come out, you study, you go to market, he graduates, he attracts the public, he plays music, he stands and wins, and he is able to draw attention. The person who does not deny their background is a credible person.
Exactly.
I'm not saying he should be president or should not be, but to tell him that you're a ghetto, and some of us not from village ghettos, don't have children who are born in a Koro, in a Bugorogo, or a place who fail to make it in life. Why don't you give credit where it is due that somebody has come up and is able to put up a formidable team?
And yes, indeed, presenting to you from these United States of the America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching me and at whatever time you might watch this conversation. My name is Mordecai Morisa, and you're welcome to Mordecai Morisa Live. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly appreciate you so much. I've seen your feedbacks. Many of you ask me to make this commentary in English. All of the commentaries I make, I should use English. What do you think? Write down in the comment section, and I'll look into that. Folks, we continue to look at the 2026 elections, the uncertainty, the anger, and the fear that Ugandans are trapped in. Ugandans are still struggling to heal from the trauma of that presidential election, which was an exercise, which was sham and a carefully staged facade. And now, as a result of what we saw, the uncertainty, I've talked about the anger and the fear, many commentators in Uganda have started suggesting that there should be some sort of peaceful roundtable negotiations between Museveni and Bobi Wine. I laugh at that because if you're going to have those negotiations, both parties should be in position to agree that they have something they bring on table. Now, Museveni doesn't believe or doesn't view his political opponents as equals. He demonizes them, reduces them to labels such as lazy, negative forces. He refers to them as terrorists and stuff like that. So it is very difficult to have roundtable negotiations. So really, as the country is still waking up from this political catastrophe, this impasse was all sort of predicted by none other than Amanya Mushega, who used to serve in the Museveni's government as Minister of Education and Sports. Later, he was Secretary General of the East African Community and served in so many other capacities. Appearing on NTV's On the Spot political show, he said it was really difficult, not impossible, but he said it was almost difficult, almost impossible to have a free and fair election if Museveni was still interested. Because he looked at Museveni looking at himself as indispensable. And by extension, Museveni cannot organize a system that would, an exercise that would bring an end to his regime after recognizing himself that he's this smart, nobody can do a job like the way he does. And actually, that cancerous thinking has taken over the minds of so many people. They look at other political opponents and be like, can you imagine if so-and-so is president? Why not? Because we see Museveni and the catastrophic age he has brought our country to. So why would you threaten me with being afraid of the unknown? So we're going to go on and watch that conversation of Amanya Mushega. He says a lot of things that we have to really ponder, think about, and you let me know what you think. So without further ado, allow me take you to, I think I wrote here, marked here what he was saying. Let's start with where he talks about Museveni looking at himself as the only vision bearer. Unbelievable. Let's go on and listen here. Okay.
That only one person can manage Uganda. Without him, these two schools of thought.
Okay.
The school which thinks that only one person can manage Uganda. Without him, there is no peace, there is nothing else. And my question to the MPs was, is your leader the person you are trying to amend the constitution for? A leader to the promised land, to bliss, future bliss, or potentially a danger to a leader that would easily lead to an abyss of danger?
And he became a leader that led us to the abyss of danger. This is when they were trying to talk about the amendment of the constitution so that Museveni can rule forever. And Amanya Mushega raising questions. Is this a danger, a leader that is going to lead us to this promised land or an abyss of danger? Hey, he's not a clairvoyant, but here we are.
And probably a disaster.
Here we are.
You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because when you stay long, and on that one we still agree with the President Museveni that overstaying in power in itself is not an attribute.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a new aspect. Do you say what you don't have?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have people who do not believe in democracy, trying to sell democracy with a sense of entitlement. Mm-hmm. They have come to believe that this position of MP for this area, minister for this, is mine, and anybody who wants it really is a danger to society.
I think we witnessed that in the 2026 elections, where you have folks within the Museveni regime who fought tooth and nail to make sure that their political opponents are not nominated. They employed violence, coercion, intimidation. They bought off people because in their mind, they believe that they're best people. Yet they sing songs of democracy and the rule of law until you say, hey, can we manifest those words into action? They disappear.
You can see in 2000, there are people when they try to run with both my old friends. People moved the motion in our meeting that we should declare Museveni a sole candidate.
Imagine.
And I remember, I don't want to mention myself, strongly Honorable Katega, the late Kategami, so rest in peace. And General Moon said, why are we doing all this? And Moon told one of the people in NEC then, mm-hmm, that you people destroy UPC and you are come here to destroy our movement. And eventually that never worked. It was tried. I don't want to mention who are champions of it, because some of them are now champions in something else. We all think the same way. And now he's declared a sole candidate. So even when you run against him as if it's a crime against humanity,
imagine
it's
that.
not said publicly, but actions speak louder than words. So it's a problem that we need to look at holistically and have a frank discussion about it. Because even when you meet people in the movement, very few believe in what they say publicly.
Now, talking about when people in the movement, I know you as somebody who belonged to that NRM.
Let's go back. Now, that's why he was talking about the sole candidature of Museveni. Many people who are members of the Museveni criminal regime have really reduced themselves to levels of minions and sympathizers, obsequious foot soldiers whose survival depend on the crumbs they get off Museveni's table. They've reduced themselves to just mere beggars. They cannot look at themselves as leaders. Isn't that sad? That you reduced yourself. You do not believe that you can actually chart a new path for your country. You look at this Museveni, and the only reason as why you look up to this Museveni as the sole candidate whom you want to rule forever is because of proximity to power and wealth. It is really sad. Now, let's go to where he was talking about the Nyerere question. I really, really liked here when he was asking these people how Nyerere left power and what it meant.
That contain leaders from going astray. I hope you get me. All of them, and then second, they are institutions.
Institutions.
You put institutions in place that contain leaders from going astray. I hope you get me. And those are the issues that work. I'll give an example. I was talking to a former leader in Tanzania. We involved in the Burundi talks. We have been put on a committee of eminent persons to reconcile the Burundi people. Then we discussed the issue of Uganda, because then the late president of Burundi was trying to change the constitution, Uganda was trying to change the constitution, and others, a few more. And then this gentleman told me that when Nyerere wanted to retire in 85, in 8 after they won Uganda, they said the nation needs you. Then he continued. In 85, they said, if you go, the country is gone. We need you. Then he mentioned, he said, I brought myself into politics. It's me to take the decision. I think I've done enough. The Central Committee members maybe started something, what they were saying, without you, the country is doomed. And this gentleman, he older than me, and he was a student, he was already Attorney General. So I respect him, he said. So he said, I'm not running. But because Nyerere had encouraged many leaders to blossom, then he turned to me and said, you know, when he stepped down, what happened, Amanya? I said, no. He said, 17 of us picked the forms. That's where the Mwinyi, the Mukapas, the Kikwetes.
Imagine that. You know, they all said, they were telling Julius Kambara Nyerere, Mualim, we can't do without you. Our country is going to go to the dogs. It's going to fall apart if you leave power. And he kept on holding that firm grip on power, thinking that these people really wanted him. They meant what they say. They were just afraid, actually, of telling him the truth in his eyes. So they kept on telling him, please, you cannot go on, until he had a moment with himself. He said, I am the one who brought himself to power. How about I make this decision of leaving power? And when he decided to leave power, you had over 15 people vying for his office. Who are they? Hassan Mwinyi, Benjamin Mkapa, Jakaya Kikwete, to mention but a few. All these were the ones who were telling him, you're the only wise man. We cannot do it without you. See how folks reduce themselves to just mere beggars. And you have so many, for example, look at, I usually want to talk about Andrew Mwenda because he's a complete charlatan, an opportunist betrayer of his own principles. All for political expediency. And I don't even want to say political expediency. Proximity to power and wealth. As a smart man who inspired us to do what we're doing, it was Andrew Mwenda. But now, he's the one backing the candidacy of a man who brags about killing, abducting, and torturing people, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the commander of the Defense Forces of Uganda. What in the world goes through the minds of men that you reduce yourself to defend the indefensible, to justify the unjustifiable, all in pursuit for money and proximity to power? Geez, they say what you couldn't say.
Musuyas of Tanzania come from Marecheras. I happen to know a number of them. People are saying we cannot not do without you.
And here's a big number that wants to step in.
Immediately, as soon as they said we're stepping down, because when you want to stay in power, one of the things you do is to make yourself indispensable. By having associates, when they compare, they say...
Listen here, I love that point he makes.
Stepping down.
Big number that wants to step in.
Immediately, as soon as they said we're stepping down, because when you want to stay in power, one of the things you do...
If you want to stay in power long, one of the things you do
is to make yourself indispensable.
You make yourself indispensable.
by having associates, when they compare, they say, really, they make alternative look ugly.
Okay. You have associates that when they look at them, a person says, really? You want Museveni to leave power and hand over to Nabanja? Are you serious? Jessica Alupo? This is Museveni's deliberate tactics of making himself indispensable. Actually, I'm going to show you here something, what he said recently during the lead up to the 2026 elections. This is what Museveni said. I'll just run here and show you. Listen.
Who rigged the opposition? It is not us.
Then they would have won if they'd rigged it. President Museveni, I want to ask you about your main contender, Bobi Wine. Your government has targeted him quite aggressively.
Let's go here.
Opposition, you don't find having problems with them. But if you take each case, you find that he's breaking
Look at this man. Jeez.
the law.
But why the violence? Why the violence from your security forces?
It is Bobi Wine who is violent.
Look at a liar. Look at the face of a liar. It is Bobi Wine who is violent, really.
I mean, his supporters have been beaten with batons. One has been shot in the head.
The beating was a mistake. But the Bobi Wine, you see, for these towns here are quite crowded.
Something.
So we don't already towns.
Uganda for half your life. Are you planning to rule for the rest of your life?
That is for the people to decide.
He lies here, but I want to show you somewhere.
Unless you're not serious.
Listen, okay, this is why he
Do you think
says.
of the young people who do want change, who want someone else to govern, do you think that that's not sensible? That was what you wanted as a rebel leader.
No, me, I did not. I was actually dying to work with old people because we needed them. Unless you're not serious.
Oh.
These problems are big problems.
These problems are big problems. I am the only one who can do it. I am the indispensable. Keep going.
And if you've got a big problem, the more hands, the better.
Youth unemployment, it's still very high. And
See, that's what he looks at himself as the only one who can fix those problems. He doesn't believe that these are huge problems because he has brought himself to a point where he has personalized institutions. So he looks at himself as the only man who can fix. He doesn't believe in institutions. That institutions can actually fix the problems. They don't need you as an individual. This is how this country, the ginormous country of the USA, has been able to go for years. Is it a perfect country? Absolutely not. But you realize that it doesn't matter who is in the White House, the country is going to move forward. Because institutions continue functioning despite of who is occupying the highest office in the land. Oh, sorry, I need to pause this, close this, making a lot of noise here. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to Amanya Mushega, where he was talking about, I think let's go to where he talks about what really pains him most.
I was talking to a former leader in Tanzania.
Okay, let's go here where he talks about, I think, people being afraid of the unknown.
This, what will happen to me tomorrow? I'll give you an example. There's one time in a meeting somewhere I mentioned to the president that it would be good if we could have a formal, friendly handover to another leader. It was a private function. Then I went home. This elderly lady where I normally buy things from, with a very, very sympathetic tone, she turned to me. She was moving to Nyankore, but I'll put it in English. Honorable, don't you fear? I said, fear what? That you may be killed? I said, being killed for what? I was taken aback. To tell a leader that he must step down?
Imagine.
Genuinely concerned that my life was in danger. I said, no. Young old lady, take it easy. There was nothing wrong. We discussed with my friends. I just said what my heart felt. And secondly, there are many people in that audience who actually clapped without knowing it. So it's that fear of the unknown. Mm-hmm. I gave you an example of Nyerere. And you could even take Kenya when Mzee Moi said, I'm stepping down. A lot of flowers flourished. And Kenya is going on. So,
there's an
but you can ask those who say it. Mm-hmm. You can ask those who say that. You say it genuinely. I'm sure you meet some of them privately. Do you say it genuinely or is fear of the unknown? They are the one best to answer it.
That afraid of the unknown. If Museveni leaves power, do you know what Uganda might be? And you ask them, look at where we are right now. Are you happy with where we are? They'll say no. And they'll end up saying, better the devil you know. Listen,
Carrying out violence are not imported. And what pains me most, Mr. Kamara, is that President Museveni, my brother Salim Saleh, myself Mushega, Rugunda, my friend, all those people in leadership, they cannot arm their sons to go and beat people. They can't. Ask my son, where have you been? I've been beating people. Which one? I don't know. Oh, mom, give sharp boy. You kill him. So if we cannot send our sons to commit sin against their fellow citizens, why do we send somebody's son to do that?
good question. But the answer here is because Amanya Mushega, you detached yourself from this criminal regime and started looking at lawlessness as unethical, antithetical to a civilized society. Museveni wasn't able to switch from a guerrilla fighter to the quote-unquote liberator or president. He still looks at people as enemies. And I've been making research the past few days, trying to see, was there any form of rehabilitation offered to the so-called rebels shortly after the 1986 war? And there's none, zero. Many of them were compensated in some sort of inviting them to join the government, being given positions of power and stuff like that. But there was no rehabilitation. And the result is Yoweri Museveni. He still looks at people as enemies. He doesn't believe in alternative ideas. That's why he says, we shall crush you. Our soldiers, each one of them has a gun that has 120 bullets. Or we are the master of violence. You don't talk like that. You are a statesman. Imagine Umukoto Wesizwe's leader, Nelson Mandela, that man, talking to the South African people, addressing them the way he was addressing his quote-unquote political enemies when he was still fighting them. But after the 27 years at Robben Island and the years he dedicated fighting the apartheid regime, he becomes president and he knows how to speak as a president. Museveni has not transitioned from a rebel to a statesman, a leader. He actually calls himself Warrior Sabarwani. So when you ask this question that you cannot send your children to do these horrible terror stuff to people, it is because you are reasonable. It is because you're smart. It is because you believe that the rule of law should preside over everything. Museveni doesn't believe that.
To me, it is really, I don't want to describe it. You've got my emotion on it. First of all, it is the parents.
It is a troglodyte mindset.
Your children got to be trained to beat people. Who should be telling their sons, don't be used to go and beat other people. Please, you have better things to do. There is a tomorrow.
Yeah, that's how reasonable people talk. Smart people. Okay, now let's go on to where he talks about as long as we have Yoweri Museveni, we shall never have a free and fair election. Listen here.
I believe that as long as President Museveni is a candidate in Uganda, it is not impossible, but it is very difficult to organize a free and fair election. Very difficult.
Okay, as long as Museveni is still a candidate, it's very difficult to organize a free and fair elections. Then, Amanya Mushega, you gave us two options. We either rise up in some sort of armed or violent rebellion against Museveni, or Museveni is invited in roundtable negotiations. Many people are suggesting to ask him, to put into considerations two demands the opposition have asked. One, release all political prisoners. Two, hand over power peacefully. Because when you say that as long as he's candidate, we're not going to have free and fair elections, the only option we have in Uganda is violence. And I don't condone that.
I say it without any whims about it. It is very difficult. Because, you know, it is not the
And
easy.
that is because of him.
No, any incumbent.
No. Yes, it is because of him. It's not any incumbent. There's so many incumbents who have handed over power peacefully. Not any incumbent. Please, don't try to be nice, Amanya Mushega. You've already said it. It's not any incumbent. I can name 100 countries that have had peaceful transfer of power, that have organized free and fair elections. It's not any incumbent. You can say some incumbents, not any.
If you saw when President Moi was running in Kenya, the first best free election they held in Kenya was when President Moi.
Okay, he goes on to give examples of how that is impossible. Okay, let's go on to listen to the emergence of Bobi Wine and the fight between the young and the old. I think I saved here that video. Where is it? It should be here. Okay, yep, let's go.
And that's democracy and has run against Dr. Besigye. Doesn't it look a bit strange that a person who's been running for president since 1980, he's now running against somebody he found in diapers in 1986, a musician of a different generation? Is that because he has overstayed?
Absolutely.
No, you see, first of all,
It goes into political meandering here. Yes, number one is yes.
when you try to militarize everything, that you have to be militant in order to achieve your results. I've even you know, we have also militarized the prayer. I've seen people saying they are prayer warriors. Even though COVID, we say we shall go to fight, we fought many wars. So there has been element that emerges that you have to be vigilant, you don't have to be calm. Because what I did as a young boy in the university when we were rebelling against Amin and the bush, we can't do now. Even if we say we shall go back to the bush, there is a limit which your body can allow you to push. So it enhances the young to say it's our time to challenge, because they see no future. Number two, when you make it difficult for your natural successors, natural, I don't mean those who are within the bush, no, the order of things. That when, as I mentioned, when President Nyerere stepped down, when Mandela stepped down, those we know, when Roaring stepped down, when late President Moi stepped down, you see how leaders within
come out in big numbers
and with some form of experience. Now those are too shy or too calm to go on the streets and jump up on the tables and somersault. It becomes hard. So the only people who say it's our turn are the young, because they have nothing to lose and their future is at stake. So it's important for who are older to do things in an orderly way, to know that. That's why I believe that every leader should have had a sport.
I agree.
Sport, whether it's tennis, whether it's football, especially golf, whether it's running, because it teaches you a number of things. One, it disciplines both the body and the mind.
Yes.
Number two, you learn to play by the rules. Number three, the umpire's word is final. Even if you let alone revise it, you learn how to be.
And like tennis, at least you even shake your hand even when you lose.
Oh, I love that. Now apply that into a political context. Now I know why Museveni demonizes sports. He's always laughed at people who enjoy sports. Okay, because it is a game based on rules. Okay, he doesn't believe in order.
And most importantly, it tells you the passage of time. Where you'd hit a ball and it goes 300 yards in case of golf, where you'd be running that ball to running 100 meters in less than 9 seconds, you begin to run it in 12, 14, 16, and you see younger ones overtaking you. The problem with the political leadership, it deludes you.
I think he's trying to say Museveni is delusional, deluded. It deludes you. Okay, keep going.
You are still the youth of old.
You remain in your bubble.
Yes, and this...
That is directly talking to Museveni. Museveni is delusional. he believes that he's still the youth of his old.
The young people, I'm surprised. One time I was in Mombasa, and then I asked people, say, hey, I'm say Pete. He said, hey, even people in Mombasa know that I'm no longer youth.
Exactly, we can tell. Okay, lastly, let's go on to where he gave a comment about Bobi Wine. This is what he had to say.
No, I never said it's never too late. And when you say these young people, and they call this young man that is a ghetto boy, and let me tell you one or two things. One, when Semogere ran, he was not anywhere from the ghetto. He's a very ghetto of Ksubi. When later on Mbaba's ran, he is a bushman, an old friend of President Museveni. Later on, Besje, he was his personal doctor. Now, later on, Tumukundi is a general. He had to test a bit of Ruzira. So, let me say one thing. These are our products. If you deny no more processes take place, the body has its ways of sorting itself out. Suffocates you or suffocates the unit.
So what you're saying, the leadership can't create the kind of opposition?
No. First of all, this young man, I don't know him.
The Honorable Robert Chagulani?
No, I mean, as a person.
Okay.
But if you see he's a boy from the ghetto, if, assuming it's true, if you grew up in the ghetto, you come out, you study, you go to Makera, I saw somebody saying that he has a degree, that one should have been careful, really not to talk about the degrees, but that was his choice. He graduates, he attracts the public, he plays music, he stands and wins, and he is able to draw attention. The person who does not deny their background is a credible person.
Exactly.
I'm not saying should be president or should not be, but to tell him that you get, and some of us not from village ghettos, don't have children who are born in a Koro, in a Bogorobo, exactly. A place who fail to make it in life. Why don't you give credit where it is due that somebody has come up and is able to put up a formidable team, and ask yourself, how did it all this come to happen?
All right. Now, I'll give a comment about that. Usually people who raise this point of Bobi Wine is from the ghetto, look at his background. It is elitism and entitlement, actually speaking. First of all, you look at their lives. They've never influenced not even half a person. Bobi Wine's life is a lesson in and of itself. Are they not able to ask themselves, how does this guy we demonize because he came from the ghetto is able to come up with that unit called the National Unity Platform, even before that, the people power, influences the opposition politics. But most importantly, he says, how about you ask yourself, how did we get to this point? If you believe that you're this brilliant, that you're deserving to be in particular position where Bobi Wine is, how do we end up in a situation where you're not there? Does it have something to do with a sacrifice? That someone is really more dedicated than yourself, that is willing to put away the wealth that he has and try to fight for his people? Can you do that? And if you can, don't you think that people who do that are actually deserving of your appreciation, of your support? Like, there's so many folks in the NRA group that are highly ranked than Dr. Chiza Besigye. But how is it that it is Dr. Chiza Besigye that has been a thorn in the flesh of the Museveni government? Yet there are generals and other titles that are bigger than Museveni's. Is it because he's willing to put away the title, to abandon his wealth and fight for the people? And you, who believes that you're so smart, you cannot do that? Doesn't he deserve our praise and appreciation for what he's done? Isn't he a star, an inspiration? How about you think that way? But I like where he says that we demonize Bobi Wine, or you demonize Bobi Wine, reduce him to labels like a ghetto kid, as if that's an insult, yet he wears that as a badge of honor. But if you're not a ghetto kid, you have a straight life. You were born in Kororo and other prominent places, residences in Uganda. Many of them are spending, and I'm not trying to attack, drug addicts. I know it's a disease and people deserve help if they're addicts. But wouldn't it be funny if someone making fun of Bobi Wine for having been raised in a ghetto and not deserving to be president has their own children spending time in abusing drugs and their life has not amounted to anything? Look at Muhoozi Kainerugaba with the educational background, the historical foundation he has in regards to Uganda's fight against tyranny and lawlessness and dictatorship. Don't you think he's in a better position to actually be a reasonable man that can win the hearts and minds of people? Isn't he supposed to be talking to the Ugandan people, reduce himself to what we are, not walk and want us Ugandans, to walk on eggshells when we see him? If Muhoozi Kainerugaba won't treat himself as he should, not that funny fake warrior persona he puts on, then we're going to go to Bobi Wine, who is an ordinary, reasonable human being, normal human being who talks, laughs, jokes, cries, and be like, this is our guy. Anyways, let me know what you think. I've had people talking about roundtable negotiations. What do you think about this? And besides that, what do we do to push Museveni out of power? Because with that mindset of indispensable, it is really difficult to engage in him through an election. Now, I don't believe in violence. There are some people who think that Ugandans should rise up through violent ways and topple the regime. That's another strategy. I lie towards the strategy of Martin Luther King Jr., while I respect the ideas of Malcolm X. They were all fighting for the rights of the black man in the USA, but with different strategies. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I think I'll be back here later. Please stick around. My name is Mordecai Murisa, and I love you all. Bye-bye for now. See ya.